Welcome, friends. Welcome to Global Focus. Rare earth elements, they are in your phone, your car, even your missiles. But did you know that one country controls over 85% of the global supply? Yes, China. As the world races to decouple and diversify, breaking China's chokehold on this strategic resource is proving to be far tougher than imagined. In today's episode, we unpack the geo-economic battle for critical minerals and what it means for global security and India's future. It's an honor to welcome back Dr. Adityanjee, President of the Council for Strategic Affairs, a renowned geopolitical thinker and policy strategist. Dr. Adityanjee, your insights have always helped us decode the deeper layers of global power dynamics. Welcome once again to the podcast. We are looking forward to your perspective on China's dominance in the rare earth supply chain and how the world, including India, is trying to respond. So,
Thank
welcome
you
back.
very much indeed, Mr. Sinha, for inviting me again on Global Focus. I'm pleased to be here. It's a very important topic with which actually entire world is grappling, especially the industrial countries
Yeah.
that rely on some of these uh, supply materials in
Mhm.
high-tech industries and defense and aerospace industries.
Yes.
So it's high time we discuss it.
Yes. So, why does China dominates? So, why did China dominate the rare earth market, and how did the world allow it to happen?
So the answer is very simple. Chinese shrewdness and naivete of rest of the world, including India, including United States. It did not happen overnight. It was a very, very slow process, but very complex, very organized plan for China to dominate the rare earth and critical mineral supplies for the entire world. Uh, as early 90s, in 92, the Chinese strongman
Yeah.
Deng Xiaoping
Mm-hmm.
stated that what oil is to Middle East, rare earths are to China. China has around 58% of world's rare earth elements reserves,
Yeah.
but it controls more than 90% of the production and supplies and the end products also. We will talk about that. Uh, Before talking about it, let's discuss what are rare earths.
I see. Yeah.
And what is the difference between rare earth and critical minerals?
I see.
Because they go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So rare earths are, they are not rare. They are very widely distributed
I see.
all across the world. The reason they are called rare is because their distribution in comparison to other elements is lopsided. So other elements are more in abundance and they are in a very smaller diluted part. So in order to extract them, you have to do a very complex process. So these are elements, around 15 elements in periodic table from 57 to 71. The first seven are called light rare earths, and the second half, which are heavier, are called heavy rare earths. Now, in contrast to that, there are certain other minerals like lithium, like yttrium, uh, like gallium. They are not part of the rare earth, but they are critical minerals. So total, you can say 18, 19 of
Mm-hmm.
these elements. They are used heavily in industries, in catalytic converters, in electric batteries. Uh, you know, an F-35 fighter aircraft of United States has 400 kilograms of material that is some way related to either rare earths or critical minerals. Your average electric car has substantial amount of these elements. So what happened that when Chinese sort of made that statement, they went very systematically, very patiently.
Mm-hmm.
They developed their mining capacity
Yeah.
and their refining capabilities. And they worked on developing, separation of these minerals from the other things and then tied to their supply chains, production supply chains. And this was a process that took time. Having said that, by 1999, after Jiang Zemin
Mm-hmm.
became the Communist Party General Secretary, China had already surpassed United States. US used to be the topmost country, you know, either mining or refining or separating. And there used to be one single mine in California called Mountain Pass that used to do this. But United States became very complacent with China and allowed China to take over just like manufacturing. They basically gave away their predominance in rare earths.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons was environmental issues. Communist China was willing to, take environmental costs involved in mining, separation, refining of these elements to, the consequence of local degradation of environment, and United States was becoming more and more, cagey about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in India, there are issues. So
Mm-hmm.
that gave free rein to China, and China, over a period of time, over decades, basically developed its dominance. So I remember in 2011, there was an incident,
Mm-hmm.
and this incident was between China and Japan. What happened? China has been aggressively fishing in other countries'
Mm-hmm.
exclusive economic zone.
Yeah.
So one Chinese fishing trawler
Mm-hmm.
rammed against Japanese coast guards because they were preventing it from fishing in Japanese economic exclusive economic zone.
Yeah.
So the captain of this fishing trawler was arrested by Japan and taken to Japan
Mm-hmm.
overland.
Mm-hmm.
China put an embargo of rare earths on Japan for several months. And it was a shock to Japan as early as 2011. So we are talking about 14 years ago. Rest of the world was still sleeping. They did not take any, it should have been a teaching moment for rest of the world. It was not just for Japan. People sitting in India, people sitting in United States should have learned from that uh, particular episode when China weaponized the supplies of rare earths, conditioned to quote unquote good behavior by Japan, i.e., release of that
Mm-hmm.
captain of Chinese fishing trawler that was indulged in illegal fishing in Japan's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, exclusive economic zone.
Mm-hmm.
So wake up call was there and then. At that time, China actually controlled more than 95% of the rare earth supply. People started taking slow actions.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, China has used, supply of rare earths or finished products related to that like magnets to United States in various trade wars with the United States at several point in time in
Yeah.
2017, in 2019, in 2023, and more recently
Mm-hmm.
because US put embargoes or restrictions on sale of semiconductors to China, and China retaliated by,
Mm-hmm.
holding holding magnets and other rare earth supplies. So situation is that at this point in time, United States still gets 70% of rare earths from China.
Right. So,
Similarly, India faced a situation that China stopped sending the magnets for, uh, you know, uh, your electric cars and delayed the sale of batteries, which were pretty much exclusively sourced from China. So if you're sleeping, you don't do any threat perception, threat analysis, and then the mitigation strategies, for your own supply chains, I think you are at fault. Chinese have been very smart, very shrewd. It's not just the military issues, it's
Mhm.
the whole domination of world economic supply, because we are talking more like, economic wars deciding the battles rather than hot wars. So
Mhm.
China has been very shrewd. At this point in time, China has at least 36.7% of the rare earth reserves globally.
Right.
But again, 90% of the productions and supplies and refining capacity they control.
So we can say this is a classic example of geo-economic patience paying off for China.
Well, China had the same strategy because remember, Deng Xiaoping had said that, you should hide your strength and bide for your time. Uh, Chinese system is authoritarian, single party system. So even if there are companies, state-owned enterprises, provinces, everything works in unison. They have a very well coordinated, tightly controlled process in which funding comes from the central government. Policy matters are being decided by a central government. There's no Supreme Court or local high courts or political parties,
Mhm.
putting a spanner. I just compare this Chinese savviness in developing these supply chains and domination. So
Mhm.
China is still controlling 58% of the mining of rare earths,
Mhm.
89% of separation capacity, 90% of refining of these rare earths, and 92% of the magnet productions. Because rare earth elements have some magnetic properties, so they are used in industrial magnets. And that is what they have actually embargoed to India. I'll give you an example. Copper is not a rare earth. There was a copper producing factory in Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
I mean, there was bunch of quote unquote activists and union leaders and
Mhm.
environmentalists. They created sustained agitation. This went into courts for several years and the factory was banned. So India, despite being a producer of copper and exporter of copper, became actually net importer of copper. So you see the contrast between Chinese system versus Indian system. India still has around 5.8% of world's rare earth reserves, but we have not invested into separation capabilities or refining capabilities or production supply chains. We just relied on China. It is same thing, in defense industries, like, you're waiting for GE 404 engines from US to come to complete your Tejas Mk1 and Mk2. So US delayed everything, the supply of engines by 2 years.
Mhm.
This is how the world plays economic, geo-economic game. So it's not just China. Even US is playing with you. So you can't have actually your new squadrons of Tejas aircraft because they want you to buy F-16s and F-22s and whatever.
Yeah.
So lessons to be learned. In fact, now the
Mhm.
government seems to have woken up and has decided to invest around 5,000 crores into rare earth supply chains in India.
Mhm.
And I think in June, the central government sort of gave an order to Indian Rare Earth uh, Limited to suspend an agreement with Japan. They were, for last 13 years, supplying the rare earth ores to Japan
Mhm.
rather than separating, refining, and using for local production. You are selling just the ores. That has been the tradition in India, that you export the commodities rather than refine the commodities and develop them into end products. So China has a very systematic stronghold, and they use their economic clout
Mhm.
purchase mines all over the world. in African countries.
mm.
Why they are interested in Afghanistan? Because of, again, deposits of copper, rare earths, and critical mineral supplies. So China goes everywhere with a very focused intention. They are not going to declare it in advance, but they have, presented the entire world with a fait accompli that you have to dictate, bow to their dictates. If your policies are not according to their national interests, they will put an embargo, and they have been doing it.
Can the US, India, and ALI realistically diversify their supply chain, or is China irreplaceable in the short term?
I have trouble with the question. You said US, India, and allies.
Mhm.
Who's allies?
Other countries,
If you're talking about US, then US has allies. India does not believe in military alliances. India has not signed any military treaty with anyone. So
yeah,
India does not have allies. India has just partners. So I don't know, are you talking about US and its allies, or India
yes,
or
US
US-India
has allied
relationship?
the Western industrial countries.
Yes, they have made some, now taken some steps.
Mm,
Uh, India is also peripherally involved in some of these organizations or these new partnerships.
mm,
So, uh, Quad, India is a member of the Quad, and Quad has actually a project called MSP, Mineral Security Partnership.
mm,
Now, Mineral Security Partnership has 14 countries. It was started in 2022, and I believe India joined in 2023. Quad also has an investors network called Quinn. So both MSP and Quinn are collaborating, and US is trying to diversify its own sources.
mm.
US will say that yes, they are their partners and allies, but US is concerned about itself. So US is building up partnerships with Australia. There's an Australian corporation called Linus, which has produced now a factory for rare earths in Malaysia. Similarly, Brazil has a group called Araxá that are dealing into rare earths mining, separation, and all that sort of thing. Actually, Brazil has around 17.5% of reserves of rare earths. Similarly, Vietnam has around 18.3% of world's rare earths. Russia has around 17.5% of rare earths. My suggestion to Indian government would be, don't put all your eggs into one basket, not just into Western alliance and Western partnerships, whether it is Quad or mineral security partnership, but also have your independent capability. And since India and Russia have a good relationship, since India and Russia are also, India, Russia, and Brazil are part of the BRICS,
Yeah.
instead of relying exclusively on China,
Mm,
India should have some sort of agreement with Russia as well as Brazil so that you can work in tandem. So there are these two poles, Western led alliances and China's domination.
mm,
There needs to be a third way. India needs to sustain its own local production of these elements, not only mining, stock exporting to other countries, whether it is, a lot of sand gets exported from Kerala beaches, which has monazite and thorium reserves.
yeah.
So rather than selling the ore uh, in oxide form, whether it's monazite or some other oxide,
Mm,
you need to develop your own separation capabilities or your own refining capabilities, and then end product development like magnets or electric batteries and things like that. And don't be strangled by one source, whether that is China or the Western nations.
yeah.
So you need to have a smart way
Mm,
in which you have collaborative agreements, whether it is Brazil. Brazil is a friendly country, Russia is a friendly country, uh, Vietnam is a friendly country. So India should capitalize on those relationships and try to build up its own supply chains. rather than just rely on US led initiatives.
So is thorium a rare earth?
Pardon?
Is thorium a rare earth?
No, I just use that as an example that,
Hmm.
we had this nuclear energy program and thorium-based nuclear power reactor, but rather than building those thorium-based power reactors in the third phase of India's nuclear supply program that was envisaged by Dr. Bhabha, India started just selling the thorium-based ore or sand to other countries rather than. So I was just giving that as an example.
So is this rare earth monopoly becoming a new weapon of the 21st century?
It is already, not it's becoming, it has already become. I outlined the whole scenario that the first shock
Hmm.
came in 2011, just like there was in 1973 after Israel Arab War of 1973, world experienced its first oil shock. Similarly, Japan, that was a powerhouse of production capabilities for all kinds of goods, was one of the largest exporters at that time after United States, suffered a setback because China put an embargo on supply of rare earths to Japan. So it's already there. It's a weapon. It's being used. And any country that has monopoly will use it and is using it. And the sufferers are not only in United States but in India also. So now United States is building, developing other mines. These processes take time. To develop a mine takes from 3 to 5 years. First, you have to localize, the deposits. Then you build up a mine.
Hmm.
Then you mine the ore. Then you do the separation. Then you do the refining. So it's this, long process. Having said that, it's never too late. China started in 1990s this process of identifying this as a project of national importance.
Hmm.
So it's never too late. You have to start somewhere, but you have to do massive budgetary outlay because this is what China did. They have a single party system.
Hmm.
They put massive amount of money in their state-owned factories, state-owned enterprises, SOEs,
Hmm.
and they streamlined their laws and they streamlined the process. So it was a well integrated network of policies, production facilities, financing, uh, and then uh, production of the end products, which is either magnets or electric batteries or other things. So it requires a long term perspective, it requires patience, it requires hard work, and it requires prospective planning rather than acting in a reactive mode, you know, and suddenly jolted out of your sleep. And that seems to be happening as far as India is concerned, that, nothing is planned with strategic foresight.
Are we heading toward a mineral Cold War?
We are already in a mineral hot war. We are already in a mineral hot war when countries are, putting embargoes on each other.
Hmm. So where
There's
do
no
we?
military involved, but if you put an embargo, like India is not getting magnet productions, magnet supplies from China for a while now. In fact, government of India started some initiatives, so in 3 to 4 months' time, they will start producing some of these magnets that are based on rare earths. Similarly, US has been embargoed by China several times, I said 2017, 2019, 23. And more recently, when they were having trade war issues and US had put an embargo on supply of semiconductors,
Hmm.
China. China retaliated by, putting an embargo on supply of rare earths because 70% of US rare earth supplies still come from China.
Hmm.
So it's not a cold war, it is a hot war with action and reaction, punitive actions and retaliatory actions. So we are not in a cold war, we are in a hot war as far as these products are concerned. And I think everyone should wake up, smell coffee, start reading the tea leaves, and take appropriate action. It's not going to be easy, but if you are determined and you have national interest supreme, you may also have to, you know, use certain laws so that local agitators are not able to disrupt mining, because that tends to happen in India. So you may have to, you know, when the supply lithium deposits were identified in Jammu and Kashmir, there was a local demand that we will not allow mining unless the financial proceeds go to Jammu and Kashmir. So we have seen in various states, various political actors, various political parties, trade union groups, some of them on payroll of China trying to disrupt the national progress. And government not should just make budgetary outlays or make plans, but deal with these anti-national elements with a stern hand so that the whole process is not disrupted. It's very easy to disrupt actually new industrial facilities in India.
So where does India stand in the global rare earth race? A potential player or just a spectator?
I could not hear your question.
Where does India stand in the global rare earth race? A potential player or just a spectator?
Well, you are a consumer. So that is one thing. And if you are a consumer, you get affected. Uh, right now, you are a victim, not just a spectator. You are a a victim that China has embargoed supply of magnets. You have 5.8% of the reserves of rare earths. The wisdom will lie in becoming self sufficient. India does not have so much of reserves that China has. China has around, you know, almost 40% of the reserves, global reserves. So you cannot aspire to be working at the scale that China works, but at least secure your supplies, develop your production facilities, refining facilities, don't sell the ore to other nations, and try to become a self-sufficient player. And in some ways you become, exporter of the end products. That is where you need to be. So it's not a question of being either a potential player or just a spectator. Right now you are a victim and you have to come out of that victimhood.
Yeah.
And instead of playing into words, strategic patience and all that sort of thing, you need to guard your national interests zealously, take any appropriate actions with a short compressed timeline.
So can India become a neutral hub for rare earth refining, like Switzerland for gold?
Look, all this talk of neutral hub and all that is nonsense. You have to guard your national interests.
Yeah.
You cannot plan that you will remain neutral or whatever. When you are doing commerce, you may have to do business with whatever country that is required. And rather than again, working on lofty themes, you need to guard your national interests right now. You know, these are two critical examples. One is US's delay of supplying GE engines to Indian aircraft, fighter aircraft. It tells you that you cannot rely on US. And it also tells you that China, of course, China has embargoed the magnets export to India. And India actually sources its magnets, industrial magnets from China 100%. So you are getting slaps on both sides. So don't talk about lofty themes as a neutral player, a neutral hub, and all that sort of thing. Work for your own national interests.
So thank you, Dr. Adityanjee. Breaking China's rare earth monopoly is not just about economics. It's about national security, technological sovereignty, and the future of global power balance. As Dr. Adityanjee highlighted, unless nations invest in long-term strategy, infrastructure, and innovation, this monopoly may stay intact. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more such deep dive discussion on geopolitics and national interests. Thank you, Dr. Adityanji. Thank you so much for a valuable time.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Sinha. And just to reassure the audience, your audience in India, the government has recently announced a 5,000 crore
Hmm.
initiative to consolidate India's own local supply chains. And I think this is high time that India guards its own economic, strategic, and other interests.
Hmm.
Whatever area we are talking about,
Hmm.
since rare earths are so ubiquitous
Hmm.
in modern industries, whether they are fighter aircraft, aerospace, communication devices, electric vehicles, catalytic converters, all the number of industries is phenomenal. In fact, I was looking at a report which suggested that the market capitalization of industries that deal with rare earth and critical elements is $84 trillion. $84 trillion. That is almost three times the size of US GDP. So it's not a minor issue. It's a significant issue as India has to become, maybe one of the top three, maybe number two
Hmm.
economy in the world. India cannot continue to ignore this neglected area.
Thank you so much, sir.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.